Hello and welcome to this video showing you how to install the new Qnect 200 Sage CRM to Sage 200 integration. The version of Sage CRM I'm going to be using is the brand new Sage CRM 2020 R2 edition, and we're going to be integrating this into the Sage 200 Professional 2020 R1 release. The first thing I need to do is log into Sage CRM. I'm going to just enter in the admin user credentials. Once we logged into Sage CRM, the next thing we need to do is to run the Qnect 200 installer. All I need to do is download that from the download location and go through the options within the installer. I get to accept the license terms, specify what folder I want Qnect 200 integration to be installed into, specify whether I want to install just the Synchronizer or whether we want to use the Qnect 200 API tunnel. I'm just going to select the Synchronizer. I now need to give it my CRM username and password, the CRM instance, and the web service location for this CRM. I enter these in and click Next. Finally, I click the Install button to run the installer and click Finish. We'll find that based on where we told the Qnect 200 to install into, we've now got a folder with the various Qnect 200 Synchronizer and integration files contained within here. I'm now going to install the CRM component to add the extra fields and screens within the CRM system. So I'll go on to Standard Customization Component Manager, click the Browse button, and I now browse to the C Drive, Program Files, Sage, Qnect Integration, Components folder, or wherever you actually specify your install to be, and select the Qnect200.zip component. I select the Upload New Component option, highlight the component, and click Install. We now get prompted with a couple of options on the screen. I can click to accept the license agreement for Qnect 200, specify whether this install is going into Sage 200 Cloud Professional or Sage 200 Standard. So if it's going into the Standard version, we can untick, and that will enable us to work with Standard. Whether or not we want to overwrite some of the quotes and order screens. So if you've customize your system quite heavily for quotes and orders, it may be that you don't want to overwrite or add new things to those screens, you want to do them manually. We'd always suggest to leave that ticked. And then finally click on the Install Component option and confirm you're happy to install the component. This will now run through the component install script and install the various screens, fields, list and options that are available for use by the Qnect 200 integration. Whilst that's running, if we just take a quick look at the Qnect integration folder, we can see we've got a components folder, which is the component we're currently installing. We've got a logs folder, which is where the logs on the integrations appear. A mapping folder, which allows us to specify the various different mappings between CRM fields and Sage 200 fields as part of the integration. And there is also the Qnect 200 install user guide within the user guides folder. Once that component's installed, I can click Continue. And we'll now get a new add-ons option within the admin section. I can select the Cumulus add-ons, Qnect configuration, and it will show a message showing that there's no license key installed at the moment. Qnect 200 is licensed in product, so we don't need to send you a license key, but if you do get sent by a license key by Sage, you can enter that license key into the system, or we can just click the Get a Key option. And this will go away and generate a license key for us to use on the system. The next thing, once we've generated a license key, is for us to run the initial synchronizer. This will go away to Sage based on our Sage ID that we've entered in and generate a token that allows the CRM system to start talking to Sage 200. So I can click on the Qnect integration folder and run the Qnect system executable file. What this will do is grab a couple of details from CRM based on the web service credentials that we put in, and then prompt me to enter in my Sage ID. Enter this into the screen, enter in my password, and click Log On. It will then ask to request permissions for Qnect 200 to talk to the Sage 200 system, and the permissions will be granted for 6 months. I click Grant, and that will then allow me to next specify the Sage accounts company that I want to link. Now, based on the Sage ID that we entered and how that's configured within the Sage 200 administration, there'll be certain companies that are available to that particular user. If you want more companies or less companies to be available, you can adjust the companies against that user that's linked to that Sage ID within the Sage 200 administration product. I can click my Add Sage Accounts Company, and this will then show me a screen that allows me to select the various Sage 200 customers or companies that are linked to this account. I can also then specify various different integration options on the screen. Now, I won't go through all of these options because there's a user guide that explains a lot of these. But if we look at some of the key ones, do we want to sync customers and suppliers? Do we want to create companies from accounts? So when new accounts are created within Sage 200, do we want those to be created as companies in CRM? Do we want to sync products, prices and tax codes? And also, what information do we want to synchronize between CRM to accounts and accounts to CRM? We can specify who's the most important side, so does CRM win if there's any kind of conflicts, or do accounts win? We can also specify whether or not we want to sync orders from Sage 200 to Sage CRM. What this means is that any orders that are added into Sage 200, or any orders that have been pushed into Sage 200 via web forms or any other third-party products that are pushing orders into Sage 200, do we want those orders to be created back into CRM against the relevant account record within CRM for them? In general, the standard options on the screen can be used from within there. If you want to find out more information about these, you can click on the Qnect Help option, and this will load up context-related help from within the system. So we can see here, for example, there's information about the Sage 200 company data set, and there's explanations on what the various different fields mean. The help files within Qnect are on all of the Qnect screens, and you can load these up by clicking on the Qnect Help buttons, and they are context related, much like the Sage CRM help. Once we're happy, all we need to do is click Add, and this will add that company to the integration and sync those two companies together. Finally, to then run that synchronizer, all we need to do is rerun the Qnect system, click Run as Administrator, and this will now start to run the integration between the two systems. And obviously on the first run, this may take some time because we have to create all of the new products and prices and customers and suppliers, and potentially if you click Sync Orders, it will also need to bring the orders within the system from there. Finally, whilst this is running, the final stage that you need to do to finish off the integration is to set up a scheduled task to run this program automatically over a certain period of time. All we need to do is click on Start, and I'm going to click in Task and go to my Task Scheduler. I'm going to click on Create Task, give it a name, Qnect 200, specify I want to run this when the user's logged on or off. I can now specify my trigger, what the action is going to be to start this off. I want this to start at 12 o'clock. I want this to repeat every 5 minutes. I want to have this run indefinitely. I can click OK. So now that we've set up when we want it to run, we can then specify what we want it to actually run, what program we want it to run. Obviously, this is this Qnect Synchronizer product that we're currently running at the moment. I specify New, click on Browse, and I browse to the install folder of Qnect. I'm going to quickly copy the URL of the install folder. And once I've done this, I'm going to click on the Qnect system and add the Qnect system in. Now, the reason I clicked on that folder and saved the URL is so I can paste it into this Start In option within the new action. The reason being that because the synchronizer uses XML text files to specify what fields are mapped between the two systems, when this is running automatically, the scheduled task needs to know where those files are located. By default, scheduled tasks run from within the System 32 folder in the Windows folder on the server. So obviously, unless we put the mapping files within there, it won't be able to find it. But if we now specify the Start In folder to be the Qnect Integration Install folder, it will then know where those files are. Click OK, click OK again, enter in your administrator password, and that will be that scheduled task set up within the system. We can see if I go onto Task Scheduler Library, there's now my Qnect 200 task. I'm going to just disable this for the moment because obviously we're running a manual sync initially to bring the data in, and therefore I want this to finish before I have that scheduled task running automatically. Otherwise, we'll potentially end up with two versions of the synchronizer running. Okay, so we've now run through all of the records synchronizing Sage 200 to Sage CRM. The final thing we need to do is actually specify the default warehouse and default VAT rates available to this company. And Sage 200, when you're posting orders across, require VAT rates and warehouses to be set against the records as they're posted in. And obviously you don't want to have to go into every single record and constantly set the VAT rate and warehouse against all of the lines within the orders, etc. So what we do is specify the default rates that we want to use within the system. What we need to do is click on change, and the various warehouses will be available. So I'm just going to click on the warehouse, and my VAT rate I'm going to select as my standard VAT rate. Now these obviously weren't available when we first set up the record, first set up this integration link, because obviously we hadn't pulled any data in from Sage 200, and therefore we wouldn't have been able to see these warehouses, etc. on here. I can click save just to save those changes back. And I'm now going to go to search company. I'm going to type in Abbey to find the Abbey retail company that's within the Sage 200 demo data. I can now specify Abbey retail company name, and we can see on the screen that the company details, the address, and the contacts have come in. Because this company is also linked to Sage 200, we've got a new accounts tab, and this is part of the Qnect 200 integration. We select the accounts tab, and we can see the details of this company within Sage 200, such as their credit limit, their current orders in SAP, their time to pay, analysis codes, etc. have all come in from Sage 200 into CRM. And these fields are available within the CRM database so that you can build reports, etc. against them. Over on the right hand side here, we can actually drill into live information from Sage 200. So I could, for example, click on the orders tab and see a live view of the orders within the customer record within Sage 200. But I can also go into the opportunities section and see what opportunities we've got within the system. Now I've got one opportunity, Sage account sales transactions. And some of you may have noticed that this field was available within the Qnect 200 linked company screen to specify when we create orders from Sage 200, what opportunity do we create those orders against? Because obviously Sage CRM needs to have orders linked underneath the opportunities. So I can come into this sales account sales transactions opportunity, I can come onto the orders tab, and I can see a list of orders that are within the system from here. So this is an actual order that was raised in Sage 200, order 169, and I can see those details with the comments and lines, etc. that have been brought in from Sage 200. So we can therefore obviously see the records as they're in CRM or directly as they're in Sage 200. But the benefits of having them in CRM is that we can use these for CRM reports or dashboards or alerts or any other kind of actions that we want to perform within Sage CRM. I hope you've enjoyed this video showing you how to install Qnect 200. We're going to be putting together a series of videos both on Qnect 200, Qnect 50 and Qnect X3, as well as our add-ons as part of our creations range. Thanks for taking a look at this video, and make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel for all the upcoming videos that we're going to be producing around Sage CRM and additional add-ons.